With 2023 having a pretty good year of releases for VR games, there are bound to be bad apples. Objectively, I think regardless if a game is good or bad, there is something on the Quest store for everyone to enjoy. However, a game called the Foglands manages to do the unexpected in objectively being a close contender, if not the contender, for the worst VR game of the year. I can stand firmly that this is one of the worst games I have ever played, not just on Quest, but on any platform. I did not buy it on release day because it got immediately barraged by bad reviews on release. However, I managed to get under 2 hours in order to be able to refund the game at least, or if it's a hidden gem, to keep it. I wanted to try it out myself, and boy, it's pretty bad. It almost gives me embarrassment for the devs, but at the same time, why release it? And especially for $25. This game isn't built for Quest, as initially it was built for PSVR 2 in mind and then announced later for Quest as a port, and it's one of the laziest ports on Quest by far. Before I critique the game, let's start with the good. It's bound to do something good at least. The soundtrack is really good. The music delivers great atmospheric sound that works in hand to make you feel immersed inside the dark world of the Foglands. And also noting that the voice acting is great, along with the character lips and eyes actually moving. They aren't expressionless NPCs, as well as the aspect that I really liked was the initial intro where you must strike a deal with a shady and mysterious character.
Oh, you just worried about killing that thing, hmm? It's a win-win for us both.
That saves you from your own death. At the start, I was really impressed, and maybe the reviews were too harsh, but apart from those three qualities, it's when the fun ends and it starts becoming more of a chore the more you play the game. And with the story, overall, apart from the start, the game feels dead. Story-wise, the game is very basic. You will find the plot to be the base of a lot of roguelites, where you must strike a deal with the devil as it pulls you into an unwinnable situation where you instantly die, putting emphasis on not every run is a guaranteed win, and you need to keep doing runs, and as you go along, you get stronger as you upgrade. Alright, so the bad. With the Foglands being a roguelike, its best feature should be gameplay, since that will be where you spend most of the time playing. The gameplay is by far one of the worst aspects of the game. It really feels like a tech demo. Enemies are lifeless and have very basic AI that just follow the enemy or shoot afar when spotting the player. Shooting your gun is very bad, as when you shoot enemies, it has no actual effect. The bullets in the game have no actual impact within enemy models in the game, and when killing your enemy, it also has this in-game sniper elite effect where it goes to slow motion for some reason. Weapon models look horrible, and looking at and holding them feel incredibly dull and unreactive when shooting. Overall, gameplay is extremely underwhelming. Not only does it do anything else that other roguelites haven't already done in VR, but lazy in not being able to do anything right. And then probably its worst aspect of the game, performance. When you first boot up the game, the most obvious thing is application space warp. Application space warp allows more demanding console-like games to run inside Quest, allowing for an up to 70% additional compute theoretically. Instead of rendering at a frame rate of 72, 90, or 120, it halves and gives additional compute to be used for other things. It's a sacrifice for more performance. It does introduce more artifacting and increase latency of player input. It doesn't make games unplayable, but it comes nowhere near games that are rendered at high native frame rates. By far the biggest release so far of this is Assassin's Creed Nexus. It allows games of AAA quality and scope to be playable inside a standalone headset. However, the most obvious part is looking at both games visually are night and day. Assassin's Creed needs application space warp to be able to run, and looking at the Foglands, this game not only runs at 36 frames and reprojects to 72. With any game currently, including Assassin's Creed Nexus, that use application space warp, it has ghosting, artifacting, and is exaggerated when using any method like snap turning and smooth turning, and could introduce motion sickness. Moving in your real play space reduces it, and it lessens artifacting by a landslide. And I'm a person that prefers higher frame rates than better graphics, whether on flat or VR. I also prefer gameplay over graphics, and this game has none of that going for it. It performs horribly, even though everything looks visually bad. If the Bitcoin craze was going, I would legit think this game was a Bitcoin miner in the background. Textures in this game are non-existent. Nothing particularly shines apart from the audio of the game. This game takes a whopping 5.37 gigabytes worth worth of space on your headset, and you're left wondering, whereas everything in the game texture wise is at really low resolutions. I have a conspiracy theory that it just might be a bunch of lossless audio in the game. Nothing in the game generally looks good at all. Since it's a port, nothing is optimized, and bringing it to Quest was an incredibly bad outlook for this game. And with performance being the worst aspect of the games, the worst of the worst are the constant in-game stutters. Every part of the game stutters. You enter a new area, it stutters. You enter the same area, it stutters. You shoot, it stutters. You pick up an object, it stutters. It's constant throughout the entire game. I really don't know how this game was able to officially go on the MetaQuest store, since they always preach how the store is curated with really high quality games. This should have been put on App Lab, as it's criminal to take people's money for releasing a game this bad. Another aspect is the constant loading screens. You would think it's Starfield. Moving throughout the game, since it's a roguelike, you have to finish sections of a game and then you get to an access a boss. And between going in these sections and picking doors, you have to enter different areas constantly. Loading screens have been a part of gaming for a long time. I can't live with them. But a key point to minimize fatigue in some way, shape, or form is to give players a warning or a button to press so that they know they are entering a new area. The loading screen just presents a black screen and throws you off entirely. Entering different sections within the game, you don't even know you're entering a new area. It might be a new door, it might just be an expansion of the level of the map, but it's just constant bad level design. And overall, it fits all of the worst qualities of a game to make the worst VR game of 2023. Constant stutters, horrible enemy AI, horrible textures, horrible graphics, and bad gameplay. And for this game to make it on the Quest, it's a joke. If this is the standard to be able to make it onto the Quest store, I think at this point, any game release should be able to come into the official store. The only good thing is that with the port, they kept the audio from the original PSVR 2 game and managed to rack up 5.37 gigabytes worth of space, and it still baffles me. As of now, the Foglands is a huge red flag and one of the laziest ports to come to the Quest. With updates, can it change? Yes. Do I put more faith in the devs fixing it? No. At this point of the game, if they were to improve the aspects that are really bad right now, I think it would be an entirely different game with big critical AAA games coming into the Quest store this year and next year. I think this game is going to be thrown under the rug. And it's sad. I don't like to see games fail, but it's important to be critical of games that clearly have no effort at all. And yeah, that's all. Until the next video. Bye.